Hi, I'm Rob Cooper from Plus ROI Online Marketing. Today I'm going to walk you through the audience overview in Google Analytics so that you can understand what the data means and how it's affecting your website. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me as I walk through the Google Audience Overview in Analytics. And first off, I'll just note that if you don't have Google Analytics, you can get it by going to analytics.google.com and signing up with your Gmail account. And if you don't have a Gmail account or an email account on Google Suite, you will have to get yourself a Gmail account. So do that first. And then if you want to see the same view that I'm looking at, Google actually makes a demo account available. And to find that and find out how to access it, simply Google Merchandise Demo Account like I am here. These are the results you'll get. And then you can go in, Google will tell you how to access the demo account. And the beauty of the demo account is simply that it has tons of data in it, and it has all the different data areas filled in. So it's great for our purposes today, which is our walkthrough. As well, of course, there's privacy concerns, so I can't necessarily show you a client account in there, but let's just jump right in. So when you open the Google demo account in Google Analytics, your view is going to look something like this. That's great. Not a whole lot of necessarily in-depth information, just some highlights. So we'll jump right down to Audience and then Overview. And that's where we're going to have a look. And there's a lot of great data right here on this Audience Overview dashboard page. As you can see, one big thing is you can select your date range. So right now it's set for the last 7 days. We can change it to whatever we like. Let's have a look at all the data for 2018 that's in here. So I'll change that to January 1st, 2018. And there we go. You can look at it. I've never actually looked at it hourly. Not a ton of value in that probably, but day, week, or month. And especially if you have a smaller site, it's better to look at longer intervals, like comparing months rather than days or weeks, because they will fluctuate quite dramatically without necessarily any particular reason, just the way that stats work. So again, if you don't have a ton of data, you're probably better looking at a weekly or monthly view. So let's have a look at the information that's on here. So first off, users used to be called visitors in Analytics, and it's called users now because Analytics tracks both apps as well as websites. So might sound a bit funny, but users is now the same thing as visitors. So in total, there has been, in this account since January 1st, there's been 410,992 visitors. 399,000 of them are new, and that means that they weren't there before. Sessions also used to be called visits, but again, because of how Analytics is being used now, they do refer to sessions rather than visits. So this being a website, we know it's visits. So in our case, there has been 567,000 visits, and of course, 1.38 sessions per user or visits per user. And of course, that's simple math, dividing the 567,000 by 410,000. And that means our 410,000 users visited on average 1.38 times per person for that for that total sessions of 567,000. Total number of pages of 2,350,000, of course, and making it an average of 4.14 pages per session. And then the average session duration was 2 minutes and 21 seconds. One important thing to note, particularly if you have, say, a single page site, or if you have a blog where people might come and spend a good chunk of time reading a single post and then leaving, a very important thing to know is that Google only counts the time in Analytics between pages. So what that means is if somebody comes, spends 2 minutes on your blog post or your homepage, and then clicks through to another page, that 2 minutes will be recorded. However, if somebody comes and spends 2 minutes or say even 10 minutes reading your blog post or your homepage and leaves after that without clicking to another page, your session duration will actually show up as 0 seconds. That's an unfortunate little glitch there, and one that you can partially address using Google Tag Manager, but that's a topic for another post. And then, of course, the bounce rate. That is the percentage of people who came to one page on the site and left. Now, in theory, we want our bounce rate lower rather than higher. But that said, for instance, if you have a lot of visitors who come to your contact page, it's perfectly acceptable that they bounce and that page might have quite a high bounce rate. And of course, the reason for that is it only takes one page to get the information they're looking for. So there's no worries there whatsoever. So then what we'll do now, after having had a look at the overview, is we'll scroll down and look at a couple of the most common things that we typically look at. Now, the demographics and interests in Google Analytics are great, although at this point, there's still not an absolute ton of data in there unless you're advertising quite heavily. So we don't often, we often don't look at the demographics and interests. If we look at geo, pretty straightforward. Let's have a look. Location might be interesting to you. Generally, we just go and look at the location. I may have said location might be interesting. I meant to say language, but we're not going to look at language today. So anyhow, location. Here we go. Basically, it shows the country. I'll pick my country of Canada. And as you dive in, you can see now it shows the region, and you can even go down to the city as well. You can get even deeper than that in some ways, and you can look at additional dimensions, although again, that'll be a topic for another post. Generally, getting down to the city is where folks want to go for. Worth noting that if you're in a region where, like in my example, we live in Victoria, and the city of Victoria is actually only one of many municipalities around here. So all the different municipalities are showing up under different cities. Kind of a pain, but it's our fault for having 17 different city municipalities in our greater Victoria region, if you can imagine that. Anyhow, getting off topic there. So another really important area that we often look at is technology, and this is particularly important if you might be planning to redo your website or to make sure that your site is serving your visitors well. So if I click into browsers and OS, I'm actually not really that worried about browser and OS. Typically, Chrome is the number one. And what I really want to see here, though, is, if you're curious, operating system can be interesting. The one, however, that we very, very often look at is this screen resolution tab right here. So if you click on screen resolution, now all of a sudden you can see what size screens people are visiting from. These very tiny ones, of course, are going to be mobile screens, but in terms of, so we won't worry about those right now, but if you are looking at these other ones, like I know just offhand that 1366 by 768 is a pretty common laptop size. 1920 by 1080 is generally going to be people on large desktop monitors. And then so it goes. And where this is important is particularly with some demographics, some consumer demographics, you'll find very low percentages of sort of HD monitors and very high percentages, as in the example here, very high percentage of much smaller laptop screens. In that case, you better make sure that your home page and all your pages will actually look good on that size of screen. So that's why that's particularly important. The next one we'll look at, and this is one that we always look at, is mobile. So you can click through on the overview, and having a look there, scrolling down, we can see that in this example, desktop visitors brought in 66% of the visits. Mobile visitors, people on phones, brought in 29%, and then 3.6 for tablets. Interestingly, this is actually rather low compared to what we see in the real world these days. Just more and more people are coming through on their mobiles, and particularly in business to business websites, we'll see a high percentage desktop. But in anything where you're marketing to consumers or sites that are frequented by consumers, the mobile can actually even be in the majority quite often these days. So that's it for the audience overview. I hope that was helpful. Definitely, if you have feedback or anything else you want answered, feel free to visit our website at plusroi.com and submit a note through the contact form, and it will find its way to me. Thanks again,